Hey, what's up guys? MG here. Alright, so I got a few people asking if they're gonna pull for the Herrscher, do they need all her equipment? Some people have been saying that she's not gonna be useful unless you have all her equipment. Some people say that you only need the Stigmata set, but you don't need her weapon. And some people just pull for her anyway. So personally, I'd also pull for her even if I didn't have the ability to get any of her signature equipment, and that's because her playstyle is really different from any of the Valkyries that we've had so far. Also, her evasion range is crazy. Alright, so I'm not gonna make this too complicated, we're just gonna look at her skills, most of her passive skills, what her ulti does. Then we'll look at her signature weapon, signature Stigmata, and then we'll look at other Stigmata or weapons that can be used for her. Alright, so her unique skill is the Herrscher form, and the basics about it is that when you enter the Herrscher form, she gains 30% total damage. She further gains 30% if she's attacking mecha units, and yeah, as a creature Valkyrie that is very important because that kind of removes the weakness against mecha units when you're in the Herrscher form. Then there's this Space Core thing that gets its damage increased. It's the third hit in her combo, and if you have fought the Herrscher of the Void as a boss, it's that thing where she sticks through the ground and you can actually attack it. So this isn't too important with most Stigmata sets, but it kind of is important with her signature Stigmata, so we will get back to this later. Another thing about the Herrscher form is that it changes up her combo, and yeah, that's pretty much all the basics about the Herrscher form, and in case you don't have her yet, this is everything else the Herrscher form does. Okay, so the other passive that we will be looking at is Judgment. What it does is it augments your ulti to give you 30% crit rate on targets that have above 50% HP, and 50% total damage on targets that have below 50% HP. Moving on, let's have a really simplified look at her Stigmata set. So the T part gives you a ton of physical damage, especially when you're in the Herrscher form. The M part gives you critical damage and ultimate evasion cooldown, but the ultimate evasion cooldown is kind of like a huge bonus because the critical damage by itself is already massive. Then we come to the B part, which gives you a shield, attack speed, and physical damage. However, if you lose the shield, you lose all the other effects as well, so it can be a little hard to tell if you still have the bonus on you, and it's kind of hard to manage, I guess. But the simple solution is, don't get hit. Okay, so the 2-set ability gives you 12% total damage for 10 seconds, and it stacks up to 3 times. So it says for every friendly entity summoned, and that's why I was talking about that Space Core, because it counts as a summoned entity. So I guess if you could keep using the third hit of her combo within 10 seconds of each other, you'll get the maximum effect of 36%. And finally, the 3-set ability gives us 50% crit damage, and 15% crit rate when we're in the Herrscher form. Alright, so on to the Keys of the Void. First of all, her active skill is actually pretty strong, and it helps with the Herrscher charge. It does however have a 16-second cooldown, which I feel could be slightly shorter if they wanted this weapon to be more effective. So the passive increases physical damage by 20% and critical damage by 30%, which is really cool because there are no activation conditions. So while it feels like her signature equipment are really strong, don't worry too much about it because there are ways to match up the damage, and we'll look at the Stigmata first. Okay, so there isn't really a need to build up a set, just go for everything that gives you physical damage. I did do a few runs and they will play at the end of this video, but for now, we're gonna talk about all the damage Stigmata that are really viable for the Herrscher of the Void. So we'll just have a really quick look. So for T, you could go with Schrodinger Band, Lear Scarlet, Michelangelo, Bronya Shadow, anything that gives you flat physical damage. For M, some of the viable parts would be Maypole Party, Plank, or Ekaterina. As for B, I would just recommend Attila, like right off Attila, because she is really strong, one of the few B parts that gives you flat physical damage. Yeah, I know you need to do a combo for it, but it's not a very high requirement, especially not for the Herrscher, and it is a huge boost in physical damage. Also, if you went with Michelangelo T, you might want to go with Michelangelo B, but I do not recommend the same for Schrodinger Band because the Herrscher of the Void does not have a combo attack, so you'll be wasting the 2-part option. The finger snap that she uses to activate the Herrscher form is not a combo attack, it's a charge attack, so if you have something like Auto Apocalypse T, you could use that as well. If you are completely F2P, the recommended Stigmata would be the Summer Surf because it's really good. Otherwise, Attila's full set, or you could go and mix it up with Summer Surf T and M and Attila B. And moving on to the weapon, the number one choice would actually be Tranquil Arias. Some people would even go as far as to say that it's better than the Keys of the Void, and I don't disagree with them. While the Keys of the Void is really better in a sustained fight, if you change up your playstyle, Tranquil Arias actually matches it for damage. But in a boss fight, Tranquil Arias actually beats it despite the keys having all that kind of passive damage. Somehow, I don't know, Tranquil Arias did better, and I'll show you guys in a moment. So, the remaining options for the Herrscher's guns would be Mjolnir or Mutated Bow of Hell. They'll play the same way, just have an attractor in the team, pull everyone together, use the active skill, and then use your ulti. It's actually a really good option, just not so much in a boss fight. And again, if you're completely F2P, you might just want to go for Jingwei's Wings because it builds up your critical rate and critical damage, and yeah, in a sustained fight, it is really the gun to go for. Okay, so I did a few runs on the Boss Invasion, Memorial Arena, and Infinity Abyss. I'll leave you guys to it. It has been MG, thank you for watching, and I will see you guys soon.
私のしもべとなる。崩壊降臨。私のしもべとなる。潰れろ。ボイドエクスプロージョン。余計な光とやっ裁きの崩壊降臨。口ほどにもない。 崩壊降臨。口ほどにもない。